All right, we are back continuing to give our stats that you need to know heading into Week 14. Ray, your second data point, Carolina Panthers backfield. What do we got?
Yeah, let's talk about it. And first of all, these week 14 buys, how awful is this? Like, what are we doing, NFL? Golly, we got to deal with this crap again. But let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. And in particular, I want to start off with talking about the backfield and Chuba Hubbard's return, maybe. Rico Dowdle was like all the hot wave, right? And this one hurts me, Matt, because I left Chuba Hubbard on the bench in multiple spots because no way. There's no way they're going to turn this thing back over to Chuba Hubbard. Well, it was a hell of a lot closer to a 50-50 split last week with the Carolina Panthers. Rico Dowdle had a 51% rushing share. Hubbard about 49%, so very close there. But the big difference was Chuba Hubbard's involvement in the receiving game, the work that he's getting. Rico Dowdle in week 13 expected fantasy points right around 12, where Chuba Hubbard's was closer to 14. When you look at this Carolina Panthers team and the way that this offense is playing overall from Bryce Young, we saw your boy Jalen Coker get it going last week.
Right, we
Pedro
did.
McMillan still doing his thing, right? Limited volume sometimes, but got in the end zone. Like, this is an offense where coming off of the bye, we are all in playoffs. I don't care if you start this week or if it's week 15. When the Panthers come off the bye, we are currently in playoff season. How are we feeling about these Carolina Panthers, who are very, very close to being the division leaders in the NFC South? Tampa Bay hanging on by a thread. But this is a backfield where we're seeing both of these guys get opportunity, get volume. It feels like Hubbard maybe he's a little fresher. Just the old eye test, right? The old eye test. He looked fresh and spry and explosive. We know Rico Dowdle, even during his time when he was balling out to epic proportions, he was dealing with some stuff. He was banged up, in and out, hurt, little bit, injury report status throughout the weeks. But now you've got a fresh running back whom I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they paid a great deal of money to prior to the start of this season. Everybody thought this would be the 1A, the number one, not even a 1A, but the number one rushing option in Carolina. We saw a shift to Rico Dowdle. Are we starting to see that shift or that pendulum swing back in the direction of Chuba Hubbard? Or is this the norm where both of these guys are going to be 15 plus rush attempt guys? Because in conjunction with what we see from the backfield, what we didn't see from this Carolina offense was Bryce Young throw the ball all over the field 30, 40 times in the game. I believe he had 20 pass attempts in the game. A good recipe to keep things efficient. Maybe you want some more passing volume for the receivers, but Carolina, they're trying to make the playoffs and win. Like, is this something we can look forward to when they come off by that we're playing both Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard? Are we picking one over the other? What are your thoughts on this situation in Carolina? And I do want to just give them some kudos. I pumped up the Cowboys earlier. I mean, they continue to find ways to win. What a massive victory for them on Sunday over the LA Rams. But this backfield, do you think Chuba's back, Matt?
Well, let's work in reverse here of everything you just said. For one, giving them props. Before you give them props, just remember they beat the Packers in week 9 and then they lost to the Saints the next week. And then they came back and they had this magical day against the Atlanta Falcons. Then they looked terrible on Monday Night Football in San Francisco. And then they beat the Rams in week 13. So there has truly been right when you buy in, that's when, Dr. Jekyll's getting thrown out for Mr. Hyde. They've just been so crazy up and down as a team. It's really hard to get a pulse of what this Panthers team is. But I think in the general sense, they are going in the right direction. I personally really buy into Dave Canales and a lot of what the roster looks like right now in the direction that they're going. So I'm with you. Generally, I do want to give them kudos. I just think it's funny to point out how up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down this Panthers team has been. To your question about can we count on these guys to be 15-plus rush attempts, both of them in the game going forward? I think in an ideal world, this is exactly what Canales wants them to be. I think he wants them to be super run heavy, not like this crazy, overwhelming Ben Johnson, all this schematic stuff from a run game, but just really good, sound, multi-layered run game. That's what he wants them to be. Kind of run that, like sit on the ball, run that clock, establish the ground game, and then take shots off play action. I mean, when you look at Bryce Young, you mentioned it, low volume, but it was his most efficient game of his career from an EPA per dropback perspective in this win over the Los Angeles Rams. And so again, the question is just, can they do that? That's where like, can they continue to hold that script down? They faced the Saints in week 15. I think that's a game they could certainly establish a running game and kind of, but I know I just said they lost to the Saints earlier this season at home, by the way, in Bank of America Stadium. So I don't know, but again, counting on anything with these Panthers can be tough, but theoretically that looks like a spot where they could get both these backs 15 touches in a game, which is what they want to do. The thing is though, like, Chuba Hubbard is good. Okay. And I think this has gotten lost. He's become like a fantasy villain because Rico Dowdle had these face-melting games, and then Chuba came back and he was so bad. But, I mean, Ray, you said it, to the eye test, he looks way better now, and to his own word test, he said, I came back too early. I came back from that calf injury too early. And this happens to players where they try to play through injuries, and they end up looking like the worst version of themselves. And I'm sure he did that because, yeah, his backup ran for a bazillion yards in back-to-back weeks. I mean, of course he wants to come back and be like, I don't want to lose my job. I gotta get out there and compete. I gotta help this team. And unfortunately, it just led to some bad weeks for him. But yeah, he's looked good. He looked good last week. He looked good in that San Francisco game. Quietly, I thought he had a couple moments against the Falcons too. So yeah, this should be a backfield committee that, guess what? It's going to kind of come down to who's the hot hand early, Ray. And we have no idea. Like, that's just something as analysts we'll never know. Like, we don't know who's going to be good early. Like, Chuba Hubbard had that big play on the screen pass early, and they kind of rode him the rest of the way, which they should.
You absolutely nailed it, because people were excited about Chuba coming into the season. Nobody was clamoring for Rico Dowdle coming into the season, and things didn't start off the way that everybody thought. And then once Rico started to get involved, I mean, he balled out. Like,
he's good too.
Absolutely smashed it. He's a good player too. But to your point, I didn't even know the small nugget about Chuba saying he himself, I came back a little too early. And listen, that's what happens, right? You see the backup, in your spot balling out. You're like, hey, I got to get. Listen, I'm on an anniversary trip right now, but I don't need damn Nate Tice or Chris Allen coming on the data jump and taking it from me, man. I had to stream. We can't have Boone taking over the data dump too. So I'm like, look, do I want to lose my
competition,
spot?
baby?
I wanted the competition. It brings it out of you. Rico, and right here on the screen, I did read this tweet earlier. For those of you, this is from Alex Zeitlo, 05 on X.
Oh, look at that last line.
Hubbard, yeah, that guy works harder than anybody I've ever seen. Right, that's Rico Dowdle talking about Hubbard. And to your very first point, when I asked you this question, Chuba Hubbard is good. Like, he is a very talented running back. He's explosive. He's fresh. He's healthy. The Saints are absolutely a matchup in which they should be able to get both of these guys involved. I just want to say this, because I had benched Hubbard in multiple spots because I'm just riding Rico Dowdle. I don't think that. Both of these guys, they probably have to be in your lineup after the bye. And I know that's a little bit scary, because when they come back as week 15, Matt, so you're like, man, do I play, Hubbard? Do I play Rico Dowdle? And I think we may talk about this a little bit next week once they're off of the bye. But going into it, I'll just say this. If anybody in your league saw what Chuba did and they drop Rico Dowdle, pick him up. Don't let him sit on wait. If anybody does that, I would pick him up, because to your point, I don't think we will know. I don't think we can predict. It's one of those things, if you got them, if you don't have better options, you probably just have to plug them in and hope it works out the best for you.
Yeah, I think the only people who are truly banged here are the folks that have both of them. Like they had Chuba and then they picked up Rico. That's going to be tough. And we will have to discuss that next week to try to see if we can parse any clues as to who we should give a slight ranking to, which will ultimately be totally wrong. We asked the YouTube chat, is Ray goated for doing a pod during his anniversary? Only 87% of people said yes. 13% of the YouTube chat say, oh, they also say yes. Oh, I can't. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Yeah, both of the options are yes, and I
no too.
I thought it said no. Yeah, I mean, I just assumed see, you know what, folks, this is your brain plays tricks on you. I say this all the time when you're watching football. You see one negative play, you think guy had a bad game. No, not always. Your brain fills in
Hey,
incomplete information.
we are not about to do that today. We are not going to talk about the film and what we see in the old eye test today. To the streets are still hot with the eye test, Matt. No, with no eye test today on the data dump. The streets are still hot.
That is definitely true. Okay, let's get into the second data point here from me, and this is an RJ Harvey check-in. And I didn't intend to do this as a little bit of fear mongering. It's going to come off as some fear mongering here. So Broncos running game in weeks 11 to 13. Obviously, they had a bye in week 12, but these are the two games in which we don't have any J.K. Dobbins, and it's RJ Harvey as the main back. The Denver Broncos ranked 12th in this span in yards before contact per running back rush attempt at 1.41. They rank 32nd in yards after contact per running back rush attempt. This is 1.59. In case you all forgot, there are 32 NFL teams, so they rank dead last in yards after contact per running back rush attempt. They're the only team in the NFL that are under 2.0 in this span, so we've got a little bit of a gap here. The success rate is still solid, and they actually rank 7th in percentage of carries that go for a first down or touchdown, so they have been moving the ball. I just don't think they've created a lot of explosive plays, which, again, we can have a discussion. Is that an RJ Harvey issue? We can use the LI test and maybe have that discussion, but the stats are the stats. To compare this to the first 10 weeks of the season when we had RJ Harvey backing up J.K. Dobbins, they were 6th in yards before contact per running back rush attempt, so still certifiably good there. They were 12th in yards after contact per running back rush, so 12th versus dead last. Harvey, in this span, ranks dead last among qualified rushers in rush yards over expected, according to Next Gen Stats, in both week 11 and week 13. So, again, what does this mean? Rush yards over expectation is not a perfect stat, but I think it kind of generally, and neither is, none of these stats are perfect, but I think yards before contact per running back run, yards after contact, rush yards over expected, we're trying to generally get in the ballpark of what does the team block for the running back and what does the running back get on his own. I think this is a good, if not just solid, rushing ecosystem. I do think, Ray, when I've watched RJ Harvey the last 2 weeks, I think he does leave some plays on the field. I think vision-wise, he tries to take things to the corner store way too often. You can tell why this is a rookie that Sean Payton's been a little bit slow to kind of trust this guy. Does this move the needle on Harvey as kind of a fantasy running back too? Because he scored 2 touchdowns last week. People are going to be like, oh, cool, RJ Harvey's he's crushing it in fantasy. He is crushing it in fantasy, but reality-wise, is he doing enough to continue to hold down the starting running back job in Denver?
Man, I'm so glad that you put this on the show, Doc, because I actually just wrote about RJ Harvey. My Q3 rookie grades are going to drop tomorrow on the site, so make sure y'all check that out. And RJ Harvey got a big C- from old Ray Garvin. I gave him a B- in the Q2 rookie grades. He got a C-, and a lot of the things that you said, it's due to RJ Harvey. Over the last month, he is 32nd in half PPR scoring, just about 9.6 points per game. Those 2 touchdowns absolutely helped versus Washington, but outside of that, it's been rough. He has 2 games with fewer than 10 rushing yards over the last month, and he has not cleared over 35 rushing yards in any one of the 4 contests. He has 28 rush attempts over the last month, which is 40th amongst running backs. He only has 10 targets, which is 23rd amongst running backs, and he's failed to command even 50% of the backfield touches over this last month. He's playing about 45% of the snaps. And I know a lot of people are referencing the inside the 10-yard line usage for RJ Harvey. He got all of it versus Washington. Great. Kudos. Good for him. He scored the 2 touchdowns. You're happy with the results, but the result doesn't mean the production and the way to get there was good. He hasn't been good, and this hurts because this was a player that I loved coming out of UCF. And I thought when the Denver Broncos took him in the 2nd round over multiple running backs that they could have gone, I'm like, oh, this is great. He's got a great receiving profile. We talked about how much Sean Payton used Javonte Williams in the receiving game. Here's what's very obvious to me. Even with, I believe, 1 or 2 torn ACLs, a blown Achilles tendon, J.K. Dobbins is a better running back. He's a better running back than RJ Harvey. the saving grace or the silver lining in this situation for me is he's still going to get whatever the lion's share. And by lion's share, I
Yeah.
don't mean 30 rush attempts. I don't mean 25. He's going to get the most opportunity out of this backfield. It's just very obvious that there are some things that, as you said, and I'm trying to be kind here, he just leaves them on the field. There's a lot of meat left on the
Yeah.
bone. It's but he's going to be used first in this backfield. It's just tough, Matt.
I mean, he's a rookie running back from UCF, a former converted quarterback, I mean, he is still a growing, of course, J.K. Dobbins is a better back. Like, we do this sometimes in fantasy where it's like younger equals better. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes the young player does provide more. I think in this case, for what this team needs, because they're so damn herky-jerky in the passing game, they really benefited from having a guy like J.K. Dobbins to just give them steady grinder carries and keep the offense moving. And again, to reference the success rate, the run game with the running backs has still been good these last 2 weeks. But just in terms of what is there and what RJ Harvey's getting, he still has some bad habits that he's got to iron out. He's got to stop bouncing things outside. He's got to stop taking things to the corner store. Like when we're running inside zone, just hit the hole and let's go, man. Let's get downhill, because he does even though the after contact stats have been bad, I think he does have tackle breaking ability. He does bring some juice to the table. Like, get out in space and let that stuff show, man. Like, you've got that. And I think he can grow and develop in doing that. We just have to see it. Now, I think this week they play the Raiders. So I'm still going to rank RJ Harvey as like a running back, 15, 16, somewhere along there. Probably a guy that if I have him, I'm probably playing him unless I've got better options, but you might have better options. I like Quinshon Judkins. I like better than RJ Harvey. Travis Etienne, I think, is in a better spot. It's a tough schedule after this Raiders game. So honestly, I like this Raiders game is a bit of a proving ground moment for him, because after that, it's Packers, it's Jags, it's Chiefs, it's Chargers. Like, Week 18 Chargers matchup, obviously post fantasy football championship. So like some tough run defenses there after this one.
Yeah, that Kansas City matchup in Week 17 looks dreadful, and he's already played them once, and I believe he had 30 rushing yards in that game, 20 receiving yards in that matchup. He better get it done versus Las Vegas. He needs to get it done versus this Raiders defense. I saw the graphic that was on the screen last, fantasy points per rush attempt. Let me just tell you that very well may be true, but I don't. It means absolutely nothing to me when RJ Harvey is ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, and hell, Kenneth Gainwell the way he's been playing late. He needs to capitalize on this opportunity, because we're watching Tyler Baday's not that good, Jaleel McLaughlin's not that good. Like, RJ, get it going, man. Like, get it going for us, please.
No doubt. And I think we're both in agreement that he can do it. He has the talent to do it. He just has to prove it, which he could prove it in this matchup against the Raiders. And I'm not, this is less of fear mongering from me, Ray, and more just like, hey, if RJ Harvey, all those point per carry stats, whatever, he doesn't have some good games here, I at least want to explain to people why that might happen, as opposed to just getting on social media and calling Sean Payton an idiot and whining about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why we're having this discussion. And I'm hoping that, hey, I'm sitting here with Chris Allen, who's never going to take you over on the data dump, by the way. You're not losing your starting job due to injury, but sitting here with Chris Allen on the recap show. That's his section of the playbook on the recap show. And we're talking about, hey, RJ Harvey, big game against the Raiders in Week 14. And he answered a lot of the questions that we're raising here. That's what I'm hoping and I believe can happen.